Alrighty, guys. Happy Monday. I hope everybody has had a pretty good day. Hopefully, everybody was productive. I know my Monday was extremely productive, but it is that time of the week where we just have an open discussion. That's my alarm to make sure I didn't miss the live. Sorry about that. But yes, tonight is open discussion, and the poll winner was social media. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And we'll see where the conversation goes. It can go a number of ways. So I don't have anything planned particularly to discuss about social media. We can talk about the cons and the pros because honestly, I can see both aspects of it. So without further ado, hello, Pearls of Paragon, Kate. How are you? Cheryl, Jean, Tracy, Steph, Susan, the Dark Magician, every time. I don't know if I think that that's a tongue twister or what, but every time I struggle to say your name. And the Beauty Demon, how is everyone doing? I totally understand that, Beauty Demon. Don't feel pressured or obligated to hang out. It is okay. Hey, Police Wife Life. Hey, Erica. Hey, Jamie. How is everyone doing? Jamie, I actually no longer have memberships. I deactivated my memberships over last week. So I don't have them anymore. Maybe in the future I'll think about it, but for now I'm just not going to have memberships. I appreciate the offer though. Hey, Three Mama. Hey, E. Life is good in Holland. That's awesome. I hope everybody has had a pretty good day. Thank you, Steph. That means a lot. So today, our conversation, it was a close run between social media and positive affirmations. I had positive affirmations as a choice last week, and it did pretty well last week too. So I'm probably going to include that again in Friday's poll because I know several people were wanting to do the positive affirmations. So I'm probably going to include it again, and hopefully it'll win the next one. But if not, maybe I will just not put a poll up and we will just talk about that one day. I know with these open discussions, sometimes we talk about really positive things and other times we try to just be a support for each other and talk about some more struggling aspects of life and things that we deal with. So I do find that it should be, at least to me, it's a little bit important that we try to level the playing field at times and talk about something a little bit more positive and uplifting. And I think that could very well be a good positive conversation. Thank you so much, Sheen, for the super sticker. That's super sweet of you. Hey, Sue. Hey, Dina. Hey, Suzanne. How are you? I hope everybody had a pretty good Monday. I ran around so much today. I vlogged a little bit today, which was very strange. I haven't even looked back at the footage. I did it on my phone, so who knows how good it is. We'll see if it's halfway decent. I'm going to upload that tomorrow. I did a couple of errands today. I don't typically go out and about very often. I kind of, since I'm working from home from the business, I pretty much just stay home and work all day. So it was a little bit different to get out of the house. Oh no, you're annoyed? What's going on? I hope everything's okay. Don't feel pressured. If you don't want to talk about it here, you don't have to. But I'm not sure if you guys have, if you guys want to start off on like some of the positives about social media, or if you want to start off with the negatives and then end on the positives, because I can talk about social media as a whole, not pertaining to YouTube, just social media. If we want to go down the rabbit hole of talking about YouTube, I'm open to having that discussion as well. But I am going to try and keep this limited to about an hour. My husband will be home in about an hour, so I'm trying to get the live done in a good, healthy way, but on a time constraint. Typically, I don't limit myself, but tonight I'm going to have to. So, lots of people from Super. Oh no. So I'm assuming I saw part of one of your lives that the cases have increased in Costa Rica for COVID. So COVID's just everlasting and it's such a freaking problem. Thank you, Sue. You didn't have to do that. You're very sweet. So let's go ahead. I think it would be, let's kind of talk about the positives of social media, and we can kind of go back and forth because some positives kind of can create some negatives. So for instance, one of the biggest positive outcomes that I see across any kind of social media is the ability to reach across the world, the ability to create friendships, the ability to build communities, whether it's on a platform like this or on a platform like TikTok or even Facebook. Having social media really does allow people to come together with similar interests and form friendships. I'm always cautious of building friendships through social media just because you never know. And that's kind of one of the cons that kind of goes hand in hand with a positive, is that you could build a friendship with somebody and they have completely made up their whole life story on why you trusted them, why you decided to become their friend and value them. That's kind of when you start to get into the stuff like catfishing, people catfishing each other and things like that. But overall, I like the aspect of being worldwide. I have, some subscribers here who are from all over. Like Cheryl said, she's from Holland. Sue is over in Australia. I would have never been able to meet these people, these lovely people, and have the ability to have these kinds of conversations without social media. And I know for me, and I've said it before and I've said it recently, I know a lot of people think that it's cliche when creators talk about how much their audience means to them and how appreciative they are of their audience, but it is a totally different scenario when you put yourself in that position. It is something I really would have a hard time to give up. I enjoy the time that we spend together. I enjoy having healthy conversations. Even when we don't agree, we're always able to come to some kind of conclusion or see each side. Hey, without a freaking clue, how are you? You stayed away from social media because for many years, everyone else's lives seem so much better. And that can kind of be a negative, you may see people who are putting forward their lavish lifestyles and trying to obtain it. I see a lot of that when it comes to YouTube. We see these creators who have massive platforms who are gaining massive amounts of wealth at a very young age, and they're just being able to be kind of reckless with their money because they have the money to do it. And it's hard for people in the working class who are struggling to make ends meet. But some of that is a facade. Some of that is stuff is just on loans. Stuff isn't technically theirs. And when they lose the money, or when the money dries out, or they get into a huge scandal or something like that happens and they no longer have their funds, if they haven't been smart about saving, they end up in the same boat that everybody else is. Boring Florida. Well, Florida for me wasn't boring. I miss Florida a lot. Hopefully sometime I'll be able to go back and visit. You would say most of that is fake. I think a good bit of it is. Sorry, the dogs are in here. Go, Whiskey, go. They're gonna just make a mess of everything while they're able to just be in here and make a mess. Hey, Jakes. You see them as wasteful. They need to save when the end comes for them. I've seen that a lot, and I've kind of had that thought before. I really hope that, especially for the younger creators who gain popularity and gain fame rather quickly, that they are having their management, their parents, whoever's kind of assisting them with whatever social media they have in their finances. I hope that they are preparing for the worst, preparing for the income that's coming in to maybe one day not be there. You have OCD. The pandemic has made that worse, and you feel like you lose so much time constantly checking and rechecking what you miss. Last thing I promise. No, you're fine. I mean, that's what this is for, is to have a discussion about it. Hey, Empire. Yeah, I can see that. The pandemic really, I think, affected the way people consumed social media. And I talked about it about halfway, maybe 4 months ago or so. I did a video about it because people, in my opinion, were becoming really enthralled with social media, whether it's a YouTube, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, whoever and whatever platform they were consuming. I think a few people were getting all consumed in it and kind of losing a little bit touch of reality. I know I had at one point a conversation, like an open discussion about it, where I had acknowledged that I was getting into watching so much social media that I was actually like not even calling my family and checking on them as much as I typically would, because I got so deep into rabbit holes on YouTube. Be safe driving, Police Wife Life. You have been off social media. I think it's good to have healthy breaks, because although social media can bring some positives to people's lives, it can also be detrimental if you're not being careful and if you're not monitoring yourself. I know there's been studies going on with like the younger generation, how much time they are online, but I think that's starting to seep into some older generations that are getting accustomed to having technology. Social media has done a number on some of your mom's friends, so you're glad you're not super active. Just too many unrealistic comparisons and pressures. There are a lot of pressures on any kind of social media, whether it's on Facebook and you're seeing your friends of your same age who are maybe doing better, or at least they're putting forth on social media that they're doing better. And it just can kind of make you feel at times that you're not doing anything right, and that, how am I here? How are they where they're at, and I'm where I'm at? I think we've all experienced that at some point in time, and social media does exacerbate that. Social media has been a lifesaver during COVID, being stuck inside. And there's a lot of people who also feel that way. It's been their safe haven. It's been the way that they can keep in contact with people and still feel that they're having somewhat normal life, that they're still able to have communications with people, still build friendships when you're not able to go out into public. Hey, Claire. Hey, Lisa. It's easy to get consumed by social media. It can be good and bad. Yeah, exactly. There's like pros and cons to almost everything. It really just depends on what aspect you're thinking of it in. And to every good side, there's likely a bad side to it as well. You take a few days off each month. you really need to not sit watching so much social media. It helps to take time off. I agree. I try to, especially being a creator, it is a little bit different in drawing the lines on. I make sure almost every night that I have time with my husband and that I hang out with the dogs during the day. I try my best to make sure I'm not just sitting and consuming internet all the time. You think you're right that one of the dangers is favoring social media relationships over stable in real life relationships, and then not having a real network of support when something goes wrong. That's a scary aspect, but I've seen it happen, especially during COVID. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for the super sticker. That's very sweet of you. You've been painting to calm your mind. Yeah, doing my business, it's like a twofold situation. It's relaxing as long as I'm not struggling like I did earlier today on my live. I figured out a way to make that process a little bit better for me if you were present during that live, that I'll probably share with you guys tomorrow. But my business has been, although it's taken me longer to get everything started, since it is arts, it's work, but it's not work at the same time, if that makes sense. I view my YouTube channel now more of a working environment than my business, which is crazy to think about. You had a serious panic attack Friday, first one in years. You have needed to slow down and take breaks. It's necessary to manage stress related to social media. Absolutely. I hope you're better, Claire. I was unaware that you were experiencing that. I hope everything has kind of leveled out for you. You don't have to be here if you start to feel overwhelmed. You've had no choice. Your internet drops enough that you don't spend as much time on here. I mean, that could be, you could view it as a good thing, I guess, if you need help managing your time online. You have been a lot more choosy about what you watch now. I think during COVID, people were just kind of wanting an escape. And so they were going, at least for me, let me talk for myself and not everybody else. For me, I wanted to, because, we were on lockdown and not doing very much, at least from the point when I stopped working, I just wanted something to be going on during my day. It gets to a point for me that watching TV and watching movies is only so interesting. I lose patience. I lose track of what's going on. I stop paying attention and start scrolling through social media anyways. I forgot what else I was going to say to that. I know I just stopped mid-sentence. That happens to me sometimes. Hey, Ruben, how are you? Hey, Gaming Granny, good to see you. I hope you're feeling better. Yeah, so I mean, we've talked a lot about like random parts of social media, but there are some real dangers to social media, and I know people talk about them. Since this is an open discussion, I am going to talk about it, but there's serious dangers being on social media. I mean, I briefly mentioned catfishing in a joking manner, but some of the catfishing that happens, and I don't mean just in a relationship standpoint, like when you're trying to find an intimate partner, I mean just being fooled, and someone giving you their sob story, and if you have the funds, you wanting to send the money to them. There's so many dangers that come to it. That's why when I talk about it, I always try to encourage everybody just to protect yourself. Make sure you're not giving out too much information about yourself to any person until you feel safe enough and you feel that the relationship is in that way, whether it's a friendship or an intimate relationship. until you can feel that they are being honest, I wouldn't ever share too much of yourself to protect yourself. You know, I know it seems on my channel, and I am pretty transparent with you guys, and I do tell you guys a lot, but there's a lot about, you know, my life that I don't talk about because of safety reasons, because of I never know who's watching. I hope everybody who does watch has good intentions, but the reality is that's not always the case, and you always have to think of things in that manner. It seems a little bit pessimistic, but it's kind of the only way to make sure that you're safe. Scamming is bad on social media. It really is. You got rid of social media about 6 months ago. Sometimes people get to the point where they just have to get rid of everything and take a serious break before they come back, and there's nothing wrong with that. Social media relationships don't equal relationships in real life. Some people don't get that. I think that that's part of the issue, Dana. I really do. Is it Dana or Diana? Might be Diana. If I mispronounce your name ever, please correct me. But yeah, I think there's people who are just a little bit too naive and think that what they are seeing is what the person actually is. And unfortunately, most of the time, who you see, whether it's on YouTube, TikTok, whatever, is a facade to some degree. It's very rare to find people who are genuine on social media platforms. You watch YouTube because of horrible insomnia. I can get that. I get insomnia occasionally, and because I don't want to keep my husband awake, I will put in earphones and watch YouTube. I'm sorry that happened, Jamie. Hey, Keeping Up with KP, how are you? You like to pop in and out of YouTube when you feel like it. You're on a break and your kids want to focus on YouTube and I want to focus on them instead. No, it's fine. I don't mind who you guys mention. It's not pessimistic, it's smart. Yeah, you know, it is. I think it's a smart way of thinking, but it does fall to me, it falls under pessimistic ideology because you're thinking the worst. At least for me, I always try to think of the worst scenario, the worst outcome of anything. So whenever I upload a video, I prepare myself for some of the worst comments that I could get. Do I get them? Not always. Sometimes I do. That way I'm prepared in how to approach it if I'm going to approach it and how to maneuver it moving forward. I try to think of all aspects of things in a worst case and best case scenario. That way I'm kind of prepared for everything. Of course, that doesn't always work out. I mean, life could never be that easy. If it was, we wouldn't be stressed. We wouldn't be so worried. But the reality is we can't predict anything. Your kids watch your live streams when they miss me. They say, my mom watches my channel, and this is the longest I've gone without being, I'm not going to get sappy, so I'm not going to stay on this topic very long because I will get emotional. This is the longest I've been away from my parents since I was adopted. So it has been hard. It's been really hard. Luckily, my birthday is this week, and she's not going to make it for my birthday, but she is going to come either the end of this month or next month. And I'm so excited. We're both so excited. It's been interesting. Even as an adult, I think when you're close to family or you've always been close to family and you move away, it's not like the location that I'm homesick about. I'm just homesick about not having my family right there. your cousin was bullied through high school over social media and high school wouldn't do anything about it because it didn't happen on school grounds. Apparently that's a huge issue with teens. You bring up a very valid issue that happens on social media is the younger generation, although they are focused more on social medias and networking amongst themselves that way, there is a lot of targeted harassment and bullying that happens. I mean, we see it in YouTube communities, but most of us are adults. Most of us have the ability to remove ourselves or address it head on and move on, but we've all been in high school. You know, you don't have the same tools at your disposal. You're not fully developed. You're still trying to make friends. You still don't want to be disliked. You kind of want to be accepted by everybody, or at least your close group of friends. I could not imagine being a high schooler or even in middle school with all of the social media. When I was in high school, there was MySpace that started. It started before, but MySpace was a big thing when I was in high school. And there wasn't as much drama going on with MySpace back then. And then as I was entering my senior year is when Facebook kind of opened up for everybody to use rather than it just being like a college networking site. And I think Facebook brought in a lot more of the bullying type behavior. Yeah, Lisa, I was saying the same thing. I'm glad I didn't have to grow up with all of this stuff. Hey, Ginger Lee, good to see you. My birthday is the 7th. Thank you guys for happy early birthday. It's fine. I'll probably end up doing a live stream before my birthday. I don't know what my plans are for my actual birthday. I probably won't have any, to be totally honest with you guys. But I know Carolyn Ironwill's birthday is the day after, and she's doing a birthday stream for herself, and she invited me to be a part of that. So if I'm able to, I may join that. Your nephew and pseudo daughter will both be getting older on that day. For reaction, I think I missed one of Sue's comments. Try and see what she said. I have no idea. I'm out of the loop. That's okay. So yeah, a lot of people have unseen illnesses. And I would hope that as a society, we would be a little bit more aware and sensitive to the fact of unseen illness, not just in the sense of mental health, but in the sense of like physical conditions. I saw somebody say that they have fibromyalgia. My mother also has fibromyalgia and some other unseen physical complications, and the judgment that people get and how difficult life can be, even daily life, depending on flare-ups or not. I'm sorry for anyone who is struggling with that. Please don't take that as I'm pitying you. I'm not. I genuinely am sorry that you guys struggle with stuff like that. It was just nobody in real life. No, I have a YouTube channel of sorts, as you don't want to explain it. I mean, I could get that. You know, my mom watches my channel, like I said, but she doesn't. She's learned about some of the people that I've talked about because of my coverage, and she's gone off on her own a little bit, but she's not really into like learning and using technology. So I think sometimes she has no idea what I'm talking about, and she's just listening to me talk because she misses me being around all the time. Took many years of you begging and pleading. Yeah, I'm so sorry you've had that experience. I think it's kind of cool. Your kid, Suzanne, how do you feel about your kids watching your channel? It's weird when she mentions a channel, like a video of mine, and like wants to talk about it. That aspect of it is weird, but actually knowing that they watch my channel isn't weird to me, especially because of how I started my channel. There was parts about how I felt growing up that I've never really openly shared with my family as a whole. And it was interesting for them, and it was different for them to hear it come from me and me to talk about certain things that I've not talked about before. So all of my family, at least my immediate family, have watched some of my videos to some degree, and I think it's helped them to understand why I react and behave the way that I do when it comes to certain things, like when it comes to family disagreements or family drama and stuff like that, how I can easily just address it and then move on. Whether it's move on in the sense that I need my time until everything's better to have a conversation or not, or to just face it head on, come to a conclusion, and water under the bridge. It's really hard for others to understand. Yeah. I get that, Melissa. You have no problem with it because your kids are grown. Thank you guys for the early happy birthdays. So to get back on topic, I tend to meander off of our topic often. It's amazing how sometimes we can feel more open with strangers online versus people we know in our lives offline. That is an interesting aspect. I'm sure there's some kind of psychological reason behind it that I don't know about. But I do find that that is the case a lot of times. People will disclose things to, I don't know if they're hoping that maybe the people never reach them. Telling my story, it was never a thing that I didn't want to talk to them about, or even it was more of a thing that it was never really brought up to where like we sat down and talked about my life growing up and everything that I experienced. And a lot of that was just because a lot and a good bit of my childhood is still repressed. So some of it I will remember. As I get older, I remember more and more about certain things. But overall, it was just something that we kind of all had a baseline about, and it wasn't a conversation. And I think a lot of it was more, they didn't want to make me feel like I had to talk about it, because for me, when I was adopted, it was like starting my life over, actually having a family and having a life and starting it over. So when I came to my platform to talk about it, they knew why I was doing my channel and they were supportive of it. They've always been supportive of any decision I've made in relation to my biological family and everything like that. Has it been healing for me to share my story on my platform? I wouldn't necessarily say it's been healing for me. I told my story because I wanted to make a difference. And I wanted people who maybe experience similar childhoods to understand that they're not alone, because a lot of what happens with children who end up a part of the system or who experience any kind of abuse or neglect, they don't want to talk about it. And so it's because they don't want to talk about it with people, you end up feeling like you're the only one who experienced it, even though you know you're not. It's hard to talk about. So I was kind of trying to my intention was to break a barrier to allow people to feel comfortable telling their stories. And I know as society has gotten better, people feel more comfortable about telling their story. It's just hard to tell traumatic stories and not have people feel bad for you. And that often ends up happening whenever you tell your story. If it has any kind of trauma when you were a child, is people, they just feel bad. And oftentimes that's not, I think when you listen to it, yes, it's going to have some kind of emotional toll on you. But for me, I've never wanted people to pity me. I've never wanted people to feel bad about me or bad about the life that I had to live. Because had I not lived that kind of childhood, who knows who I wouldn't be me. And I was just hoping that it could kind of reach some people like that, and also give hope to any children who are in the system to know that there could be a light at the end of the tunnel for them. You just want to say after watching my channel, you decided to start a career in the field. You have a job interview today. Oh, well, congratulations. I hope your interview goes well. Let me know. That's awesome. Hey, Sierra, good to see you. You say that all the time. I think a lot of people who experience trauma and who are wanting to talk about it to reduce the barrier, let people understand that they're not alone, often deal with that. And when I told my story, I was very careful about how I worded things so people wouldn't have that feeling that they needed to feel bad for me. That's awesome, Tutu Queen. There is more, it's a smaller niche of a community, but I have seen and I watch some content of other people who are adopted or who are in foster care or have been in foster care. It's a very small group from what I have seen. Maybe it's bigger than what I realized, but there is a group for it. There is a niche for that kind of content. I appreciate that, Jamie. So I'm not sure where I left off about talking about social media. It's something that could really, your conversation could go on and on and on, because it really depends on what kinds of way you want to navigate talking about it. We've been talking about it pretty generally, but there's small little avenues, and I think there's caveats to every platform, because it depends on how you operate on different platforms. Oh yeah, I would not allow him to do that if he's that young. Like for me anyways, I can talk from my experience with different social media. So Facebook for me has been really just a platform where I have some close friends and family, both intermediate family and extended family members I've never even met, stuff like that. And it's kind of what we utilize it for. And of course, some of them utilize their Facebooks differently, but it's a way just to kind of know how everybody's life is going. To be honest though, on like my personal Facebook, I have come very, very close recently with deleting it, because I haven't posted anything on there for more than a year. And I know when people have questions about where we're at and like what we're doing with our lives, they typically just ask my mom when they're talking with her, and she just updates everybody. So I've come very close to wanting to delete Facebook. I know some people utilize Facebook in different means. Some people use it for marketing. Some people will use it to grow communities and like public pages and be a part of public pages. I've never had that experience with Facebook. The only time I have is related to installations, military installations that we're assigned to. Have I ever really been a part of a group? And I never participated. I was just a member and was aware of what was going on. Lost and found pet pages of wherever I'm at has been other groups that I followed, but I never actively have engaged in any groups like that. That's never been my experience on social media anywhere. I had a personal Instagram that I created when I was probably in high school, and there's no picture to it because I ended up not even caring about social media to that degree. Now that I have the channel, I have my Instagram for the channel, my Twitter for the channel, but I'm not even very active on those. Like, I will check them for messages, but I've never really been one to be overly active or invested in those apps. And I understand that other public figures and other influencers really do utilize those apps to promote themselves because they are better probably at cross-platform promotion of themselves than I am. But that's just been my experience with it. I'm more steady on my channel more than anything else. And I think a lot of that is because of you guys. I want to be able to continue to have conversations with you guys and to bring you guys content that you enjoy and create content that I enjoy. You know, that's kind of I don't think my experience, and maybe I'm wrong in making the assumption, but I don't think my social media experience has been the same as others. My husband has 2 younger sisters, and they are all about social media. They're all about, TikTok, making friends on Snapchat, Snapchatting people. And to me, I just see big red danger for them. They're young women, they're young ladies. One's in high school and one's in middle school, and I just worry. And there actually has been an incident with one of them who was talking to a grown man. Like, that's super scary. You use Facebook for work, but your personal Facebook stresses you out. I know whenever politics and stuff like that is going on, like with the election and everything, I couldn't even try to scroll through my Facebook. And I know my mom told me that she was very much the same. You believe when we're all home, the seeking community answers, etc. This year has been difficult for so many to cope. Yeah, I think internet has become a coping mechanism for people, especially people who feel lonely and who have devices and know how to work them. I think they have turned to medias like any kind of social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Google even. You're barely active on Facebook. It's with your real life friends and family used to contact you. I could imagine that since you're in Costa Rica. As an introvert, Facebook, it's just emotional draining. Yeah, I can imagine it being emotionally draining for people. My brother is more of an introvert, and so he actually totally deleted his Facebook like 1.5 years ago because it was more stressful for him to feel like he had to reply to people if they reached out to him, even if he didn't want to. He felt he had to because they reached out to him, so he deleted it. Your Facebook is closed to anyone you don't really have there. Yeah, my Facebook is pretty private, my personal Facebook, and I don't have any other one. Hey, Shaylin. You love IG for seeing pictures of your youngest who moved to... See, I understand the tool of social medias like Facebook, like Instagram, like those things when you follow close friends and family. It's a quick way to be able to scroll and see what they're doing with their lives, see where they're at with their lives. But it's also been at the cost of a detriment, in my opinion, to where people don't really talk on the phone. It's all texting or DMing or sending an email even, rather than having a 5 to 10 minute conversation. I prefer to talk on the phone. If it's something that's like an actual conversation, I prefer to have that over the phone versus in text or in a DM, because language does not translate in text messaging. I mean, that happens in comment sections all the time. If it's not like a live stream and somebody comments something, if it can be taken one of two ways, it really just depends how you're going to perceive it when you respond. There's been a couple of times when I've responded to comments and I misunderstood the commenter's point because it got lost in translation. It got lost in what they voice inflection and tone of voice and emotion behind your voice says so much about what you're actually trying to say that it can get lost in translation whenever you're just putting it in black and white text. You use Facebook marketing pages. Yeah, Facebook is actually really good for promoting businesses. It's that time of day, so I'm going to have the sun shining in on my face. Sorry if that bothers you. Hey, Pippi. You use Facebook a lot to reunite lost pets with their owners. Yeah, I've been a part of pages like that. More or less, I would be the one to find the pet and I would post it if they didn't have a tag. It doesn't happen very often where I'm at now, but where I lived in Florida, lost pets was a huge thing. It was almost like a monthly occurrence where we would end up temporarily housing another dog or cat for like a week and a half to 2 weeks. Longest was like 2 weeks. Typically, we only had them for a few hours, but those pages can be really helpful. It's wild how seemingly overnight so many people replaced talking on the phone with texting or written communication. It did happen overnight, and I'm one of there's really not a lot of people that even I know in my generation who prefer to talk on the phone. My husband hates talking on the phone. He'll talk with his family on the phone, and he'll talk to me on the phone, but he does not like talking on the phone with like friends. He would much rather just text them. But I prefer to talk on the phone. Yeah, your husband would rather have a phone call. To me, phone calls are much more personal than a text message. You could send a text message to anybody. You only use Facebook to watch your brother and sister-in-laws. Yeah, Facebook can be hurtful to family and friends depending on if there's been a falling out or if you're talking poorly about any of your family or friends. It can be hurtful. It's easy to misconstrue comments. Yeah, it is easy to misconstrue comments. It happens. I think every creator experiences that. You were getting too much stuff from people you didn't want. You're happier now that it is private. Hey, Maximum Effort, good to see you. You also prefer talking. You hate talking. I mean, see, even in the chat, we're having difference of how we prefer to communicate. It's kind of been, I mean, if we want to identify the positive in like technology and social media, is I know that social media outlets like Facebook have been able to reunite lost loved ones, whether you were separated at birth or you were adopted or whatever your weird scenario may be. Facebook has helped a lot of families reconnect with lost family members. And that's really cool if you're interested in that kind of, I don't know if it would be considered investigative work or not, but it offers that. It also offers outlets for, whether people like it or not, for the government and for law enforcement agencies to track people's behavior. And if you're doing anything illegal and you're posting it online, you're kind of giving them the evidence that they need for charges. So if you look at it from a criminal aspect, it can be beneficial. Unless you're the one committing the crimes, then you're not going to like it. But that's also one of the very deep, scary sides is trafficking. I'm just going to say it in general, not to trigger anybody. Trafficking can also happen and does happen a lot more frequently online than people know. That's why I always say to protect yourself. Limit what kind of information you're going to put out there about yourself so people can't identify you or figure out who you are. You wrote to your kids in cursive and they could barely read it. The concept is foreign. I don't understand why the school systems dropped cursive. That's something I never really understood, is why they dropped that. Because now when kids are signing their names, they're printing their names because they don't know how to write in cursive. Your aunt found you on Facebook. You don't know how she did, and you're married now. Yeah, I mean, things like that happen. Hey, Pandora's Ballot. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People can find, if your stuff isn't private, people can find you. Or if you're trying to find somebody who's been adopted or got separated along the lines, like, it's worldwide. So people in different countries even can be identified and located on those kinds of apps. Not all schools have dropped cursive. Well, that's good to know. Sorry if you guys can hear my dog snoring. You love writing? There was a time of probably a period of time where I preferred to like handwrite. I will write things down if I want to remember. That was how I studied and retained information going through school, was I had to write it. So I had like notebooks upon notebooks of me just rewriting definitions, even if I didn't have to, even in like it wasn't a part of a test or anything, but for me to understand and retain it and actually know gather the knowledge, I had to write it. Your cat snores. He snores like a grown man. He's not snoring too bad right now, but he can snore. You can hear him in different rooms when he's snoring. He's a big boy. I usually don't let them in here whenever I am filming, but I ran errands today, so I felt a little bad. So I let him come in here. Your kids sign their name in pigeon cursive? I don't know what pigeon cursive is. You love cursive. I enjoy writing in cursive. I don't like my handwriting in cursive as much as I like my handwriting when I print. I don't think I have the best handwriting, but people compliment my handwriting. Not everybody, but some people will say that I have nice handwriting. My My mom and my sister are left-handed, so they primarily only write. They both prefer, the last I knew, they both prefer writing in cursive. I'm sure you can pull that off, Sierra. Practice makes perfect for everything. You can't hear them at all. It's just one dog that snores. That's Whiskey. You try to talk on the phone almost every day so that you don't feel isolated. That's good. Some people think you're Crystal Bill because of the accent. That's funny. Your daughter is 31 and she learned it. Yeah, I'll be 31 on the 7th, and I learned cursive in school. The act of writing a letter or thank you note is disappearing. Yeah, it is. Half cursive, half print. Okay. I wonder if most people who are left-handed prefer to write in cursive. I wonder if they do, and if they do, why. I've never asked my mom that. But both of them are, I'm trying to think if my sister is that way. My mom's left-handed in her writing, but she's right-hand dominant for like everything else, though. I don't know. I can't remember if my sister's left-hand dominant for everything. I think she is, because I know she played softball when she was in high school, and she golfed, and I'm pretty sure she had left-handed equipment. You didn't know how old I was? Yeah, I'm only 31. Well, not yet. I've got a few days to go. 4 more days, then I'll be 31. You like cursive better? It's easier. I prefer to write in cursive because I think it's more elegant looking, but it takes, although cursive, if I remember correctly, like cursive is supposed to be like something like it makes, maybe I'm just making it up, that cursive was supposed to like make writing quicker, but I take twice as long when I write in cursive. You don't have the ability to write, so you have to text, email, or talk on the phone due to your car accident. Well, I hope you're okay and that you're able to get everything done that you need to. Your mom is left-hand dominant, but bold and batted in softball right-handed. See, I think that's how my mom is, but I'm pretty sure my sister was the opposite. I'm pretty sure she's left-hand dominant for everything, if I remember correctly. I could be remembering totally incorrectly. Next time I talk with her, I'll have to ask. You're a lefty and it's just more comfortable. But you have a bad wrist, so it's half cursive, half print. So I wonder, my mom, does my sister write like this? I don't know. My mom, because I'm not going to give away my mom's age. That's not fair. But, you know, she's older. And so she would write like this. She still writes like this. Like, this is how she writes. She crooks her wrist because her hand would go cross into the ink. So in a way to prevent that, she would hook her hand up. And I think my sister does it a little bit, but not as bad as my mom does. And that's just how she writes now. But I think that that's a habit quite a few lefties deal with. And I think that's why it's easier to write in cursive for you guys, because you don't have to pick up your pen so much. I could be wrong. I'm totally making assumptions here. I'm not left-handed, so. It sucked trying to teach you things because it was backwards. So what's interesting for me is I'm right-hand dominant everything. I'm a little bit ambidextrous, but when it comes to shooting, like my bow or anything else, let your imagination do what it needs to, I'm left-hand dominant. I am left eye dominant, which is not normal. When we started to get into target practicing and stuff, I was struggling so bad, and my husband finally was like, well, let's try it the other way. I doubt you'll be able to do, and I did phenomenally better with the bow. With other handheld items, I already knew how to target because my uncle taught us, but yeah, I didn't know it would translate into, it's, thinking back, I probably should have known it would, but yeah, so that's interesting. That's a weird thing about me. Yeah, Lisa, I'm very similar in that aspect. You're faster in cursive, but you have a ton of, I doubt you have a ton of years on me. Your son holds his pen like that, but your mom doesn't. Interesting. I would think now that there's different pens that come out that are like quick drying, that younger people wouldn't feel they need to do that because the ink dries so fast. I think it's pretty common for left-handed individuals to write like that. I'm not I know I've asked my mom why, like when I was younger, I asked why she wrote like that. And she told me it was because she was a teacher. And so when she was grading papers and making corrections, if she didn't tilt her hand like that, she would end up smearing her remarks. And also when she was writing notes and things like that, when she was growing up, her hand would smear the ink. So a way to combat that was for her to curve her arm up. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are left-handed in the chat. I'm not left-handed. I am right-handed. But I guess technically I'm a little bit ambidextrous since when it comes to recreational things, I use my left hand. So we are almost at that hour mark. I think we definitely have gotten a little off topic, but it wouldn't be a typical live stream of mine if we didn't get off of topic a little bit. So I hope everybody has had a good Monday and has a good rest of the week. I'm not sure when, but I'm probably going to go do a few random little get ready with me lives this week. And I will have my, I don't know, I guess I'll call it a vlog. I will have my vlog style video, if it's any good, out for you guys tomorrow. And an update for those of you who don't follow or aren't interested in following the crafting stuff. If you're a winner of the giveaway, your stuff will be mailed out the latest by the end of this week. I have been working on that all day today. It's all done except for the cups are curing. So once the cups are done curing, I'll be able to clean them up and mail them off to you all. Hey, Rarely Care. Good to see you, though. You're having dinner with your neighbors. Oh, that stinks that they're moving. I haven't decided. I'm going to be doing my nails either tonight or tomorrow, and I may film it, I may not. It's a hassle for me to film my nail videos. But we'll see. We'll see if I have the time to film it. If not, I'll take pictures for you guys. But I hope everyone has a good rest of your evening. And I'm not sure what days or what time I may do Get Ready With Me's. I got a couple of products, which you guys will see in the vlog that's going to go up tomorrow, early birthday gifts. So I want to play with those. So I'll probably be doing a couple. But without further ado, I am going to go ahead and hop off of here. I appreciate everybody for hanging out, and I will see you guys later this week.